Bouverie. Thank you, Scott, for joining us today. Scott, 2013 was a milestone year in your career. You managed to finish third in what is known as the mother of hard enduro, a Lesotho-based race called the Roof of Africa. So the excitement of this victory was short-lived when you suffered an injury in Erzberg the following year, an Austrian enduro event. Tell us about the extent of this injury, and if ever the thought crossed your mind that perhaps this was the end of your enduro career.
Yeah, well, starting off on a hard roof was really good, and then I went to Erzberg, and I haven't had much luck at Erzberg before, but I was really looking forward to turning that around and having a good race, and I ended up injuring my back on a forest hill pushing my bike, and I tore a disc in my back, and that set me out for quite a while, and I wasn't actually sure where I was at from there going forward and how I would progress from there. I didn't know how long it would take to recover, and it did end up taking almost until the end of that year to get back on a bike again.
You got back onto your feet, you recovered from this injury, and at the end of that year you signed up for the Roof again. But unfortunately in the qualifier event you sustained a knee injury, and in 2015 you were kept out of the Roof again, also due to injury. So just tell us about the despondency that you faced during this time and feelings of frustration.
Yeah, no, that I think was one of the toughest times in my career. I was very close to stopping riding at that time because I wasn't sure how long I would be able to not do anything for. I mean, I lost a lot of confidence being on the couch, but then I started to think about what I could improve on while I was injured, and actually started building from there on what I could do better when I came back. So I had a lot of time to think about my plans going forward and how I wanted to go about my racing, and I managed to finish the national series and also compete Romaniacs, but I had to go for the op straight after that, and that set me out for the next Roof, so I had to sit out another Roof, which was very disappointing.
Yes. Well, you know, when most people would have thrown in the towel after the back injury, and they would have probably taken up a sport that is a little bit less high risk. So what is the appeal of enduro riding that kept you going through that difficult time? And when you got back on the bike, was there any sense of initial fear or anxiety?
I think I'd been off for so long that obviously there was a bit of fear, just to remember if I still had what it takes, and just to find my feet again and see if I can still compete at that level. But once I started riding, it all just disappeared out of my head, and I started to build on what I wanted to be. And I think that time off also made me realise how lucky I was to be riding, so I appreciated it a lot more, and I also had different ideas about what I wanted to do with it.
Yes. So 2016, let's talk about some good news. This was your comeback year. Our viewers can go look online to see the achievements that you saw last year, but in short, you performed exceptionally in multiple international races leading up to the Roof. So what was it like finally at the end of the year, where after 2 years of being kept out of the game, you could enter the Roof again with a newfound confidence and ultimately reclaim that third position that you had seen back in 2013?
Yeah, no, it's so good to be back again and healthy from the beginning of the year. I went over to Romaniacs again. It was my fourth Romaniacs, and this time my first top 5 at an international extreme enduro, so that was very special for me. And then after that we went over to Turkey for Sea to Sky, and I managed to get a podium there, which was then my first podium internationally, which was also amazing. And to keep that momentum going to Roof, going forward to compete with guys like Graham and Alfredo and them, it's really good to be able to compete at that level and to know that I'm still there and get another podium with international guys.
Having persevered through these times of difficulty, what kind of advice do you have for someone who also is passionate about a certain sport, but for some kind of opposition that they're facing, they can't fully pursue it?
I'd just say never give up, because you always have time to regroup and come back stronger. Like it'll be very difficult, but everything takes time, and once you build on it, you can make something good out of it in the end. And I mean, there's no point stopping, because you never know what could have happened if you had carried on.
And Scott, lastly, we've seen just a glimpse of what you're capable of when you're on form. So what can we expect from you in the future? And do you have any specific hopes or dreams going forward from here?
Yeah, I would say my dream is to compete in the full international extreme series. And then obviously I would like to do well in our nationals locally here. But I think my passion lies in the extreme enduro and the hard enduro. And and it's got a good following now. The guys are starting to really get passionate about it in South Africa, and they really know what it's about now with coming to watch a roof, and they can sort of get a taste of what we do over there. So I think going forward, I'd love to be able to do more of those races and give them more opportunities to compete there.
Yes. Thank you very much, Scott, for sharing some of your story with us.
Thanks.